Welcome to Old Celtic Tales by E M Wilmot-Buxton. Please like, share, and follow us.
Old Celtic Tales by E M Wilmot-Buxton. The Lady of the Fountain, Part 1. The Tale of Kynon. Kynon was the only son of his father and mother, and a very brave and daring young knight. He thought there was nothing in the world too mighty for him to do, and after he had achieved all the possible adventures in his own country, he equipped himself with horse and armor, and went forth to journey in desert and unknown lands. One day it chanced that he came to the fairest valley in the world, where all the trees grew to the same height. A river ran through the valley, and a path was by the side of the river. He followed this path till midday, and traveled along the remainder of the valley till evening, and at length came to a large and shining castle, at the foot of which was a rushing torrent. Before the gates stood two youths with yellow, curling locks, wearing golden frontlets upon their heads and garments of yellow satin, with gold clasps on their insteps. Each of them held in his hand an ivory bow, and their arrows were winged with peacock's feathers. Their daggers had blades of gold and hilts of whalebone, and they played with them as they stood, shooting them to and fro. They allowed Kynon to pass into the courtyard, and there he saw a man, in the prime of life, also clad in a robe of yellow satin, and round the top of his yellow mantle was a band of gold lace. He received Kynon with great courtesy, and at once conducted him into the hall of the castle. In the hall sat 24 damsels embroidering satin at a window, and they were all so very fair that the eyes of Kynon were almost dazzled at the sight of so much beauty. They rose at his coming, and 6 of them took his horse and unbuckled his armor. 6 more took his weapons, and washed them in a basin till they shone like the sun. Another 6 spread cloths on the table and prepared meat, and the last 6 took off his soiled cloak and doublet, and put on garments of fine linen and yellow satin, with a broad gold band round the mantle. Then they gave him cushions of red linen on which to sit, and brought bowls of silver full of water wherein to wash, and towels, some of green linen, some of white. Presently, when all was ready, they sat down to eat at a silver table, with cloths of the finest linen, and the meats that were brought were of the most delicious flavor in the world. At length, when the stranger's hunger was appeased, the man in yellow began to inquire who he was, and what was the cause of his journey. And Kynon told him that he was trying to find out if anyone were his superior, or whether he could gain the mastery over all. The man in yellow smiled, saying, "If I did not fear that harm would come to thee, I would show thee that thou seekest." Then Kynon implored him to make trial of him, and at length the man agreed. "Sleep here tonight," said he, "and on the morning arise early, and take the road upward through the valley till you come to the wood by which you came. A little way within the wood you will find a path branching off to the right. Follow this until you come to a large, sheltered glade with a mound in the center. On the top of the mound you will see a black man of great size, larger than 2 men of this world. He has but 1 foot and 1 eye in the middle of his forehead. In his hand he holds a club which no 2 men could lift. He is exceedingly ill-favored to look at, and he is the warden of that wood. And round about him you will see grazing 1,000 wild animals. Inquire of him the way out of the glade, and he will point out the road which will lead you to that of which you are in quest." Next morning Kynon arose very early and rode away. All came to pass as the man in yellow had said, except that the black man was of huger size, and his club looked far heavier than Kynon had been led to suppose. When Kynon saw the 1,000 animals browsing around the mound and the black man sitting on the top of it, he asked what power he held over those creatures. "I will show thee, little man," said he, and, taking up his club, he struck one of the stags a great blow. The stag brayed loudly, and at the sound all the animals came together, as many as the stars in the sky, so that Kynon scarcely found room to stand. Serpents were there, and dragons, and every kind of beast. Then the black man looked at them, and bade them go feed, and they all bowed their heads, and did homage to him ere they departed. Then Kynon asked the way out of the glade, and when the man knew his reason, he said to him, "Take the path that leads towards the head of the glade, and ascend the woody steeps until you reach the summit. There you will find an open space like a large valley, and in the midst of it a tall tree, with branches greener than the greenest pine trees. Beneath this tree is a fountain, and by the fountain a marble slab, and on the slab a silver bowl attached by a silver chain. Take the bowl and throw a bowlful of water on the slab, and you shall see what will happen. And if you do not find trouble in that adventure, you need not seek it during the rest of your life." So Kynon did as he had said, and found the fountain and threw a bowlful of water upon the slab, and immediately there came a mighty peal of thunder, so that the earth shook. With the thunder came a shower of hailstones, so heavy that each one pierced to the bone, and Kynon could only endure it by placing his shield over his own and his horse's head. After that, the weather became fair, but when he looked at the tree, behold, there was not a single leaf left upon it. Then a flock of birds came and alighted on the tree, and never was heard such sweet strains as those they sang. And while he was listening to the birds, a murmuring voice rose through the valley like a gust of wind, which said, "O knight, what has brought you hither? What evil have I done to you that you should act towards me and my possessions as you have this day? Do you not know that the shower today has left alive neither beast nor man that was exposed to it?" Scarcely had the voice died away when there appeared a knight clad in black velvet, riding a coal-black horse, who made a rush at Kynon then and there. And the onset was so furious, and Kynon so little prepared that he was overthrown. Then the Black Knight passed the shaft of his lance through the bridle rein of Kynon's horse, and without a glance at his fallen adversary, rode off the way he had come. There was nothing left for the fallen knight but to make his way back to the castle. The black man jeered aloud at him as he passed through the glade, and with much anger and mortification, the knight hurried on to the castle of the man in yellow. There he was received with the utmost hospitality, and no one alluded to his adventure, nor did he mention it to any. On the next day he found, ready saddled, a dark bay horse, with nostrils as red as scarlet, and mounted on this he returned to Arthur's court. That's the end of this story, brought to you by Shaffer Media Enterprises. Please check back for more exciting stories.
The Ultimate Question is a fully acted and produced audio fantasy story. When a young boy is found on a battlefield, it sets into motion a series of events that will have potentially catastrophic results unless that young boy, now a young man, can solve the puzzle that his mentor left him before he died. The Ultimate Question is available wherever you find podcasts and audiobooks. Visit uqstory.com for more information.
Independent short films are a welcome change from corporate entertainment. These films often press the boundaries of filmmaking, giving you a visual and intellectual experience that you can't get in mainstream stuff. The best place to find short independent films is Appealing TV, available on Roku and Amazon Fire. Find out more at appealingtv.com.
Please visit SchaeferMediaEnterprises.com for more of our projects and services.